Fear and greed run through the wire. Candles climb and then expire. Our edges cut from the profile, sharp and clean by every buyer. He conquers the markets, he turns water into wine. His timing flows where chaos turns divine. Cut sharp enough to time the sign. Yeah, this man's no common trader. He commands the market's numbers. We call him Chef Bailey. The market bends beneath his flame. Fear and greed run through the wire. Candles climb and then expire. Our edges cut from the profile, sharp and clean by every buyer. Markets move, they twist and swing. Every tick can burn or bring. Ryan keeps calm, he trusts his thing. The charts tell him everything. But when T1 makes ding, 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 the futures spread their hidden wing. And he is ready for anything. Vic still looking like a restless king.
Ready to stop guessing and start growing as a trader. Welcome to Vici Trading Solutions, a community built by real traders for serious learners. We don't just post trades, we teach the why behind every move. With a full education section and daily breakdowns, you'll start seeing the market like a pro. You won't be trading alone. Inside the Vici Discord, you're surrounded by committed traders, from futures pros to rising crypto specialists, all learning and winning together. Gain first access to our exclusive indicators, powerful tools used daily by hundreds across TradingView and beyond. These aren't gimmicks, they're built to sharpen your edge. Each morning, our founder posts a full trading plan for the S&P 500 or NASDAQ and calls out the levels he's watching live. No fluff, just clarity. Education, tools, community. Whether you trade futures, stock, or crypto, Vici gives you the foundation and firepower to grow. Join Vici, trade smarter, conquer the markets.
And everyone, hello, Chef Bailey in the house. It's a pleasure to see everyone. My gracious, I missed you all on Sunday, but here I am making it up for you. So we're going to do a very special edition of the post-market breakdown today. We are actually going to do the weekend review. We're going to do it live here so we can talk about the setups. So we've got people on chat and this and that and the other. So it'll be something unique. And I'm actually fresh off the plane, you guys. So we didn't actually get off the plane till about 1 o'clock. Took me about an hour to get home, etc. So I've only been home a couple hours. And my gracious, I'll tell you what, you know, this whole thing, it's called, what do they say? It's Murphy's Law. If something bad that can happen, it will. I'm telling you, that's your guy. Listen, I had a beautiful weekend with my girl. We went to Maine. Just for the weekend, that's where she was at work, so I flew up there for the weekend. We ate our way through Maine. Literally stopped every single place, had chowder, this, that, the other. What's up, Piper? And believe it or not, my last day there, she had this very intimate, beautiful thing planned out. We were eating our way through Maine, literally. We were driving across the coast, and we stopped in these little towns and these little shops, and we're buying this and that and the other. We get to the final destination. It's beautiful. We sit down. Gorgeous ocean view, amazing food, the whole nine. I take one bite. I said, I need to run to the bathroom. I go to the bathroom, come back. I said, I'm just not feeling right. I'm gonna step outside. Food poisoning, 5 hours of hanging in the toilet. She had dinner by herself. I spent the whole night, the whole way home, crazy. 5 hours. We were only an hour away from our hotel. It took us 2.5 hours to get there because I kept having to have her pull over Oh, nightmare. So, just when you think something beautiful, it couldn't get any better. So then we had to wake up at I had to get up at 4 in the morning to catch a plane after I'd been all night sick. So I think I look pretty good considering. So here I am. I'm fresh. I got the coffee juice in here. So unbelievable trip. But that comes with it, right? But I can promise you this. I love clam chowder. I will probably not eat it again for the rest of my life. I'm just being honest. It was one of those things. I was like, I don't know. After last night, I'm not sure I can look at it anymore. So anyways, that was my trip, guys. I'm glad to be home. I had a great time, but obviously glad to be home. I was taking a look at the markets today. We didn't really get much movement, so not a bad day to be gone. But again, as you guys know, I'm pretty dedicated, and I get this, I've not missed a Sunday ever, I don't think. And so here, that was my first one, so I wanted to make it up to you guys, do this live. We're going to walk through the weekend review, kind of see how it happens here, and kind of what my thought process is when putting this together. So once again, I appreciate everybody being patient with me, and obviously meeting me here today. We've got a ton of people online. Hey, Sandra, how we doing? Piper TL, good to see you. Bryce, as always, Bryce, what's up, buddy? We got a whole crew of people here as well on Twitter and so on and so forth. So pleasure, everybody. Let's go ahead and get right into it. As usual, I'm going to follow it up with, I'm going to do VIX, SPX, and ES. That's how we'll cap it off. I think this week too, guys, I'm going to do the How to Trade a Trade Plan webinar. I'll go ahead and get that stuff out for everybody tonight via email. If you haven't been before and you're a trade plan subscriber, if you're new, I highly recommend you come. It'll help quite a bit. So one of our bigger events that I do once a month, it's kind of a staple. I just want to help people understand how to get the most out of the trade plan. There's no reason to guess here. I put a lot of work into this stuff. So once a month, come on through. I'll show you exactly how to do it. And maybe you'll win a prop firm or two. So, last time I gave away 3 and I actually had a guy who didn't even respond. So maybe I'll give his away this time. Because that's how it works, right? It's why I make you give me your cell phone number so I can text the winners. If they don't text me, then I keep bankrolling them, and then we make the next one bigger and bigger and bigger, and before we know it, we got a little Powerball going on over here. So all right, so let's go ahead and get right into it, guys. As usual, we're going to start with VIX. Okay, let's go ahead and add this to the mix here. So here is the deal. As you guys know, I had an article that came down a couple weeks ago, and I basically said every time VIX gets in this $14, $15 handle, we pop. It was just great timing. This was last Sunday. It started to drive, the moment that came out on Sunday, the market started to dip lower immediately as soon as Monday opened up. And we closed down here in VIX around this $14.50 range. And since then, we've maintained above this really critical monthly, as you guys can see here at the $14.95. This is really holding nicely. But once again, we've got this big lid here. This daily is really keeping things suppressed at $16.15. We bumped our head on it 3 times. My guess is that it won't be a 4th. Okay, we will more than likely propel over this, which will indeed send the indices down, give us a little pressure. We do have some support here once again on this gap fill. It's kind of a Fugazi weekly, but I do like it, and I do like this monthly. It's been holding up nicely for quite some time. I'm going to continue to lean on this to keep VIX a little bit propped up here because, guys, just because, I'm anticipating VIX to take off when we get down here, it doesn't have to happen in one day, right? We're kind of building, as you can see. So a little bit of a volume, building right here. If you had a profile on there, a volume profile, we've probably got a pretty sweet-ass little point of control in here. It probably looks like a perfect bell curve. So, they're basically building volume as they continue to move. So if they pop this 1650, we're going to get a nice push in VIX, going to send the indices down. This monthly up here is the big boy. We've talked about this. I mean, it's been on the radar for a long time. It just so happens that it hasn't really been since early August because we've been pretty suppressed, surfing all-time highs. But now as we're starting to get a nice little pullback, hopefully we're going to get VIX, a VIX tailwind in our favor here so that we can, kind of get some volatility and, kind of move around a little bit. As you guys know, we got pretty spoiled with the negative gamma regime. And then, we went back positive gamma. It's been, it's like summertime blasé. So they pushed above this. We come into the 1744. This is going to be a huge level for us. Make sure you put this level on your chart. It's been big. It was big. It's big still. Really, as long as we are above 1744 on VIX, you will see suppression in the indices no matter what. I mean, it is just how it works. It is just the cycle that we're in with this current price. We monitored this last time, essentially when we kept flirting with this level over here, and this was the big indicator for us for the above below. And I don't see any reason why that would change coming into today. So as you can see, this is kind of a big spot for us to pop. And then this is tested. So, there is a good chance that we could push through it, but given the fact that it's very significant, it wouldn't surprise surprise me if we got a little reaction here or what have you. But above this, I'll just show you 1841, 1870, all tested, 2029, all tested, until you get to the highest little daily, way up there, the biggest untested, move to the low, and that will get a reaction. It most definitely will. They will not pop through that on first touch. They will absolutely smack from this. How far back it pulls it, maybe the 18s, I'm not sure, but that area will get a reaction. That will be a fantastic area for us to look for an inverse correlation for a potential long spot. I'm telling you right now, it's going to be a decent spot. So with that being said, how far it pulls it back is yet to remain to be seen, right? One step at a time, but that's kind of how I see it right now. We need to hold the 15, 13 weekly, 14.95 monthly at the lows. As long as they do that, and it really looks like we want to pop this area here pretty soon, but the 16.15 will just lift us right into the 17.44. We have nothing but air right here. Think of this, if you guys have been trading with me for a while, you know what the profile looks like when we get those single prints, right? We're like, oh, we got to clean that single print up. That's what this is, a big ass single print. You can see it in the candlesticks. The profile just makes it look nice and clean and tidy. So anyways, if you've been doing this a while, you can kind of figure it out like, oh, it's big ass single prints, there's nothing there. If it pops this 16.15, we should clean that up pretty fast and bring us right to the 17.44. So that's what's up with VIX, guys. And then really it could, this is I don't know if it's going to go any higher than this or not, but that's a good start. I'll say that. And I don't have really anything untested until we get all the way up here to 24.70. And that is certainly possible. I would love to see this come up here. That means we're going to get like a 200, 300 point flush in the ES, and then we can buy it back up once we smack from these higher areas. So we'll see. And again, I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just saying if we get up here, that's like equivalent to 300 points in the indices. And again, don't hold me to that math, please. So, all right, so let's go ahead and take a look at SPX. So I went ahead and charted this out right before we came into the day here. And as you guys know, I'm going to go ahead and just pull back on the daily a little bit. We are coming into some really nice support here. And I got to be honest, this looks pretty freaking bullish. But I want to put a disclaimer out there, okay? I have this one area that I really want to see it hold, and if it doesn't hold, I get concerned. Now, I'm letting my pen kind of fire up here so that we can have a real discussion about this, right? But this is a pretty nice bullish wedge, especially if we come into here. I am very much still bullish. As you guys know, I'm intraday bearish, as we've been short for pretty much all last week, and so on and so forth. But ultimately, the party's not over, at least not yet. Okay, so here's what I'm looking at right here. Basically, and you're going to see it on ES really well, but 75.82, 75.75, this area right here, let me just go ahead and get rid of this. This area right here, essentially 75.82, this top area, this needs to hold, okay? And the reason this needs to hold is if the progression would simply go like this. Okay, and then we could, deal with 77.85 when we get there, right? That's another discussion. Okay, but if they don't, then we end up coming. These are weekly charts, guys. This is a weekly chart. So these are weekly candlesticks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Just call it 11, maybe even 12, 13, maybe even 14 if we extend the box out. 14 weeks of balance. If we get back underneath the 75.82, we'll get sucked in here. We're gonna get sucked in there. So in order for me to be really not confident about this thing continuing our move up, we hold this first level at 75.82. We deal with 75.85, and more than likely this will just be a little head bump, and then we'll continue through as long as the price action plays like that. Now, if we get back underneath the 75.82, we will get sucked. Okay, so I'm just kind of throwing that out there for you guys, because when we look at these smaller time frames, remember, smaller time frames, but when we look at the overall picture of everything, and I'm mapping this out, I want you to just be very clear. I want you to be very clear about what I really think needs to hold. Now, if we get down in here, there is still some areas that I like. I really like the 74.64. I think this is a sweet ass spot. It's the leg up, very much untested, right? But let's just say we got down here, right, and we get a nice little pop. Oh, he's going. Okay, now we got a big ass spot we got to get over, right? And so, then you have to fiddle fuck around and hope that you get continuation up if the bull run's going to continue. It's so much easier to hold this top main area right here, or even into this first little spot, 75.54 spot, and then, kind of dig ourselves out for that true progression right away. So I'm hoping that happens. If not, if we basically get underneath 75.82, we're going to get sucked in, okay? And then we have to kind of work that whole thing out, which is possible. I'm going to tell you right now, I was really staring at the profile pretty hard on ES, and it is possible. So first and foremost, let's talk about what we know for sure, right? So I think that's really the most important. And this is where kind of it all comes together for everybody. Do you see this level right here, 77.09? This is our leg to the all-time high. We've talked about this 100 times. I'm showing you what it looks like in the 30-minute view, but this is a daily candlestick, okay? This is it, 77.09. That is where everything shifts. Okay, so that is our main shift point for the ES, and it is very much untested. That whole zone is untested. So as long as we stay below this area, 77.09, 77.16, whatever you want to call it in terms of SPX, this is our major pivot, and as long as we stay below, our momentum shifts below. Now, I do have a big untested area here, which I'll soon show you, okay? The other area that I'm really looking at is 76.91. This is our current move to the low, okay? This is where things kind of shift in term. You know what I mean? Just not really like full-blown like bull shift, bear shift, right? But certainly, as long as we're below these, we're bearish, right? And so this kind of shifts the pop. If we get above 76.91, it gives us the little, kind of maneuver to come up here and test this highest untested area right here, which in my opinion looks very good. We have a spot on ES that looks the same way. Okay, but I'm kind of showing you what needs to get above or below. Okay, the next area that we're really looking at, the spot that's really on my map right now, and this is because it also is on ES as well. We have a spot right here, 76.79 through 76.74. I actually like this spot quite a bit. We haven't filled the gap lower yet, which I still think is coming. We still haven't quite cleaned up all of the previous 2 Tuesdays ago's huge move up. We still have a little bit to clean up. So I'm like, okay, I think there's a little bit more downside left. So this is the first area that I'm going to look. We've got a 1 hour, a 4 hour, and a daily, all between 79 and 74. Obviously, as you guys know, I'm going to try to short it inside all this. And as we continue to, start to show some strength to the downside, I'll add into this trade, what have you, looking for new lows underneath 76.41, which is the current daily that is obviously holding us up right now. But like I was trying to point out to you guys, the big deal is, though, if we come down here and we do this, right, and we start to reclaim this, they could easily push above 76.91. It's tested. And then come up here, and then this is the big spot. I've got 77.09 and 77.16. This is where I would look for another big hit, right, to take us down just because, right? It is, right? And the thing is, if we push above that level, then we really kind of need to be careful on shorts a little bit. But I would not short at all anymore on this until we got up to here. And then we've got 77.71, and we have the month and the weekly at 77.85. And this is a great spot. Doesn't this look like a massive head and shoulder, right? So this is the head, this is the shoulder, the shoulder and the head, and another shoulder over here. I just think that looks really nice, and I could totally see that just getting whacked. So something I've been, kind of paying attention to. We got the same maneuver on ES. It's a weekly as well, which I'll show you soon here too. So just to kind of make things, just to go over this one more time, our first major short area, 76, 74 through 79. We have a pivot above 91. It pushes in the 16.09, and this is where we really want to stay below if we're going to continue that immediate momentum down. And then above that, we kind of get back in that 2-week balance, and we're going to go all the way back to the highs. You don't need to short it at that point, right? We just wait till we get up to our edge, and then we worry about that. Because right now, technically, we are still down on all time frames. It doesn't mean we can't squeeze, but for now, we are still coming down, and I am not looking for longs until we get down into this weekly right down here, like I told you, at 75.82, or maybe even the daily at 76.09. Somewhere in here is where I'll start fishing for longs, and I'll stop worrying about the whole short side of things, because at that point in time we come into major support. So that is what I've got for VIX and SPX. So I hope that helps everybody out there. So now let's go ahead and get into ES as usual. Check this out. I'm going to go ahead and bring this over just because this is where I want to start it here. This is going to be really important for everybody. This is the weekly TPO, okay? And I'm not going to show you the daily TPO. I looked at it hard and I'm like, do I really care? No, I really don't, okay? So here's the thing, guys. And this is really, really important because, again, as you understand how I do my process, everything is high time frame based. That's how we're always able to be on the right side of the trade. I mean, it really is. It's like, we know the higher time frame. Sometimes there's, in a downtrend, sometimes there's pops, right? But we know that we need to, we know that the downtrend's not over because we haven't gained or we haven't lost and whatever. So our process really keeps us on the right side of things. And that's what I want to point out to you here right now. It's number one, we are still down on all the time frames except for the weekly. So we're still up on the weekly, which means we got to buy a weekly when we come into it, and which I'm going to show you. There's a couple of them below us. Okay. Now the other side of things is until we get there, we need to remain short. So we've already got that covered. All right. So here's the next thing. All right. So let me get my pen here in action here. Give me 1 second. Where are you? What up, Doc? What up, Doc? So somewhere around here, my pen is playing games with me here. My apologies, guys. I do not know why this thing's giving me a fit. Give me 1 second. Because I really want to draw this out for you. So here's the deal. We have 76.83. This is our previous weekly value area low. And really below this area, we truly are very bearish. Okay? I'm going to tell you that right now. But here's the thing that's really convenient for you guys. Okay? And just keep an eye on this, right? Our previous weekly point of control is 76.89. Okay, truly above this level, we start to get a little bit momentum to the upside. Okay, a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit. Okay, and where everything really shifts is 77.46, the previous weekly value area high. Above that, we can come all the way up to basically, let's just call it 7,800, right? And I think that's a pretty safe bet there. But as long as we stay below 77.46, we remain suppressed. Okay. Now this is very good for people who can't, they're like, oh, I don't know what's gained or lost, or listen, none of that shit matters right now. All you got to know is as long as we're below 77.46, we're pointed down. As long as we're below 77.98, it's even more down, right? Which is the monthly point or the previous weekly point of control. And obviously under 83, even more suppression. But I really like this level for our above below line for the suppression. And it's really almost an even number. It's 76.98, call it 7,700-ish. This is a great line for us to keep an eye on. And when I bring over the 4-hour chart, you're going to see exactly what I'm talking about. You're like, oh, okay, that makes sense, right? And so, and also, please be aware, we still had this massive gap up from Tuesday, right? And I say massive, it's not that big, but really the push up was pretty ridiculous. And so as you can see in here, not only do we have the gap, but we have a massive amount of inefficiencies. One of the only things that I think that's going to truly save this is we sat down here for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks balancing in this massive range. I put all these together, but each one of these is damn near a month. Okay, this one's 5 weeks. I think this one's, let's see. Shit, both of these are 5 weeks. So even more ridiculous. This is 10 weeks of profiles right here. So, if they come down in here, there's a massive amount of volume and action in here. So I do believe those first weeklies are going to get some love. And I'm going to show you exactly what those look like right now. So check this out. All right. So I had no intention of really showing you the daily charts here, but I think it's important that we kind of get into it a little bit. So I'm going to pull this over so that we can see just the cash session here. Right. And then here's the weekly. All right. So here is the 2 big weeklies I'm looking at. And the same principle applies here as it does for SPX. Now, you guys have heard me talk about these levels before. I have 2 major weeklies, 76, 22.50, right? We just talked about the one in SPX, which is 75.82.29. And then we have the one slightly below it at 75.99.25. Now, I like those because everything's here. I mean, we have everything. I have a daily. I have a weekly. I have a 4-hour. I have an old daily for us to play to get above. We have some all-time high confluence there that we can use for a trigger. There's a lot here that we can use on this first one. Now, on the second one, let's just assume that they pull into the second one. It's possible. It's possible. I don't know. But I'll tell you this. We have the same thing going for us here. We have another massive weekly that I'll pull over here so you can see where this is coming from. Huge structure from the left. Okay, huge structure. Multiple taps underneath it, and you can even see it in the daily time frame. Multiple taps here from the bottom side. Boom, 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 right? Just lots of confluence, right? And look, we got the 50-day moving average right here. Now, you guys know I'm not a 50-day moving average guy. I don't really care about the moving averages, but I will tell you this. I know many of CTAs that love the 50-day moving average, and they will buy that shit just because their strategy tells them they have to. So when it lines up with something that I have, I like it a lot. And I'll tell you right now, this is very close to what we have. It's less than 10 points away from the 75.96.50. Right now it's at 75.86. By the time it gets there, it should be right about. So I think that area will get some love. But again, like I said, I never know. Here's what you need to know. And I think this picture is even more so clear than SPX. As you can see, we have 76.22 through 76.96. This is my zone, right? This is my buy zone. Now, if we push underneath here, you see what happens? Now we're in this massive range again, and we could get easily sucked back down. And I do like this area here at 75.07. I like it. It's the same spot I just showed you with SPX. I like it a lot. But that doesn't mean that this will play and not be able to get back above this, right? It might just be one of those, and then we come back down and we stay in this balanced bullshit. So if we really want to continue this bullish structure, we need to pull in no deeper than 75.96.50 and then reclaim 22 to get our targets back to the upside. So that's really the higher time frame here, okay, on terms of like what could possibly happen. Like, where am I looking at to buy? Where does it all go south? And again, like I said, it's like, you know, this is a massive move up. There's still lots of support in here. Well, I say lots. Here's my main buy, and then here's my lower buy and my two real main buys, and then everything else in there is kind of just in the shit. So we really need this to work out well. Now, I think that explains the lower end perfectly. So now let's go ahead and talk about our most immediate moves, right? Because I'm still looking to the downside personally. Okay, because I want to get into this 76.22 or 75.96. That's where I'm trying to get to, right? So I'm not going to quit shorting. No, I need to get there, and I'm going to show you where I think it all goes bad. So check this out. I'm going to pull the 4 hour back up here because I really think we're going to talk about the 4 hour. We're going to do the 1 hour a little bit, but I think this is super duper clear. Okay, and I will show you some of these dailies here real quick. All right, let's zoom in just so I can show you some context. Okay, so check this out. And the same applies for SPX, by the way. This is the same exact structure I just looked at for SPX. We're just doing it in ES now. So we've had 77.14, which we know played very well for resistance, right? This is a momentum shift for us, and things start to, like, you know, get a little bit in the face. Like, this is where my immediate short goes wrong, and I have to wait for a little bit higher. Okay, because I do have an untested daily at 77.37, and it's not just any daily. We've played this daily. We know what this daily is. This is our leg to the all-time high. It is the same daily in SPX that I have at 77.09. Okay, this is my 77.09. You guys know that level. I mean, we just keep repeating these levels, right? And so ultimately, this is my last short area. If we come up here, I want to see 77.37 play, get back under 14. Otherwise, we shift momentum above 77.52 and come higher into this weekly. And I'm showing you this on this chart because when I bring it down into the 4 hour and the 1 hour, it's going to be so clear for you. You'll be like, oh, that's how that level works. Okay, so check it out, right? So here you go. This right here, 77.14, right? Look how well this is played, right? We just pointed that out. You can clearly see that right here is our previous weekly point of control. Here's our previous weekly value area low, and here's our previous weekly value area high. And do you remember what I said about the value area high? That once we get above the value area high, we can easily push up. Why? Because that daily is there at 77.52. Okay, and it is very much tested. So once we are above that area, we should be able to push much higher. But again, here's our weekly point of control. Now you can see I have a 4 hour untested level right here at 76.93.50. Where is that located? Directly here at the previous weekly point of control. I want to see this 4 hour play stay below this area, and we look for continuation lower. And we know if we get below the previous weekly value area low, we're going to continue our move lower. Look how many times it's played from the bottom side, and then now they're using it for resistance from the bottom side up. So, I mean, this is not brain surgery. I'm just pointing it out, the obvious to you, which you guys can clearly see. Okay, so this is the weekly gap down here that we're after, and as you know, we have that previous all-time high there at 76.48, that if you're short, I would highly recommend taking profits there on the way through, by the way. Okay, so now let's go ahead and take a look at this next higher move. Now, I told you guys I liked 76.9350 for the short, and you best believe I will be short there. But if I'm wrong and they push higher, and ultimately if they get above that previous weekly point of control at 76.98, I'll start to think about I'm on the wrong side of this trade, right? And then we want to start looking at this level up here. We have a 4-hour at 77.29, and there's our daily at 77.37. And we know that's not any daily. That's the leg to the all-time high. We just talked about that, right? And so this is really, as long as we stay below this, we remain short. And I think it's pretty easy to see that that 14 is the next pivot to move us down. And then obviously this is the next area. So we just keep walking it down, okay? So, and then above that, let's just go ahead and take a look. Because you never know. Shit, we might get a squeeze. Trump might say he cured cancer. I don't know, right? And so here's the deal, right? So above 77.52, which we used as great resistance, as it was the sub leg to the high. This was a great pivot point for us to be underneath to kind of keep moving lower. But if we get above 52, we have to deal with 77.8750. Then we have this massive developing weekly at 7,800. If you guys recall, this is the same trade that I pointed out to you in SPX. I said, oh, look at this beautiful head and shoulder. It looks pretty good, right? And so, I think this is the same possible, idea up here. So just don't forget about that weekly if we end up making a push. And if we get above 77.52, we will no doubt see that. But as long as we stay below this, and really ultimately 37, we're going to continue to make our way lower, at least until we get down into the 76.22 area. So as I just finally close this up, I'm going to drag my 1 hour up here just so that you guys can see a little bit more granular view of what I'm looking at, because I actually have a couple 1 hour levels that provide, here's the thing. You guys know I hate 1 hour levels. Everybody knows that. I mean, I make it very clear in my trade plan that I do not trade reversals off of these levels. However, I do use them for continuation. Well, guess what? We're down on all time frames. And so this to me would be continuation, right? I still want lower, right? And so right here, here's that 4 hour that I was telling you at 76.9350. Look how it's beautifully placed with yesterday's point of control, right? Which would be Friday, because that was... Today would be, yes. Yeah, okay. So that's Friday's point of control. Then here's our weekly, right? So as long as this stays below here, I'm trying to get short, okay? If we pop up, 77.0725 actually is a 1 hour level, highest untested, and it looks kind of decent. I was looking at that like, damn, I might have to try that. And ultimately what I would look for it to do is get back below the overnight high, or in this case, because it won't be the overnight high anymore, come tomorrow. But it will be this area right here at 77.03. We'll let 07 play, get underneath 03. We'll get some continuation to the downside, and we'll just keep adding into it, right? You just add into your runners, guys. Add into the winning trades. Don't be scared to add into winners. Shit, I know you guys will add into losers. Well, guess what? Try to add into a winner for a change. You'd be amazed how much money you can make. All right? So now, again, like I said, if they push higher, this is like I said, I would be a little concerned above this area here, but ultimately we know above 77.14, right? We push higher, and then we have this amazing spot up here. We have that 4 hour I told you at 29. We have the 1 hour at 30. I have this big, daily at 37. And then, of course, we got that previous weekly value high over there, and the daily at 50. I mean, this just looks like fantastic resistance to me. I could totally see them. And again, I could see a lot of things, right? I could see that happening. I could see that happening. But really, if we get up in here, I could see this smacking and coming and, tapping this daily at 14. And then once we get over or down, it's over. So that's kind of how I see it happening, because ultimately above this, we're going to start coming all the way back into here and we get into this balance and shit. So with that being said, guys, that is pretty much, the weekend review. I thought it'd be kind of nice and special to do something on a Monday for a change. You really kind of dive into the workings and show you guys, how my brain works. And I'm looking at all this stuff. I know when I do the weekend reviews, usually it's already, I kind of got it all like thought out in my head, and this one I kind of just went for it. So with a short day. What up, Zook? Good to see you, buddy. So guys, I appreciate you so much for joining me. Now, just as a heads up, I am going to go ahead and do the trade plan tomorrow. I know most times I do the weekend review on a Sunday, and then you don't get a trade plan on Monday. So don't worry, I'm going to do it in the morning. I'm back. I'm here, baby. I'm ready to get loose. I need to make some money. I spent too much money eating and puking in Maine, so it's time to make some Lucci. So with that being said, guys, thank you so much for joining me. Tomorrow is another day. I'm here with you, and tomorrow we're going to conquer the markets. I am so looking forward to it. You guys have a fantastic evening, and tomorrow is another day. Cheers, and talk to you soon. Thanks for coming, Doc.